Size of it like...
All one stone, one stone, one stone,
Bigger than the pyramids.
one stone. So here. This is called, we call this the Great Stone. Measures 13.5 meters length. The height in its completed form was 3 meters high. Its depth 4.5 meters. Metric weight 570 ton.
Look.
That's the weight of 200 elephants in a room, or 2 completely fueled 747 jets. Take your pick.
Two completely fueled 747 jets.
Yes, and I want to show you the characteristic of Herodian construction. Now, this is not the temple. This is not a wall of the temple. This is a wall that retained the Temple Mount and protected the temple. And we talk about it as if it's alive. And we talk about its greatness and its size and its beauty. Why? Because it's the only thing we have to talk about. And when we look and see how much King Herod the Great invested in building a wall, we can only imagine what he invested in building a temple. So let me teach you about Herodian stone. If you look here, and you ignore the rectangle that's in here, you will see that this stone here has a smooth center, and it has has a margin this way, and a margin this way on all 4 sides. That is a typical Herodian stone. You can see the stone wherever Herod built. In Israel, it's the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron, Marat Machpelah. You can see it in Caesarea. You could see it if you go to the Judean hills to the Herodian, where he built a fortress. You can see this. Now, he built the stones, the wall in such a way that the stones stayed together next to each other by sheer weight. No cement at all. And each layer of stone was built inward by 2 centimeters, exactly 2 centimeters. So you can see over here, it's not so clear because they didn't clear out all the stones of other construction that was on top of it, but you can see it more clearly here. And when we go down further, you'll see it even more clearly. And why did he build the stones inward by 2 centimeters? I'll explain to you. Now, we are on artificial floor that archaeologists built. This is not the street that was right adjacent to the Western Wall in the time of Herod. As a matter of fact, in the time of Herod, this was an open air center. There was no arch above it, and we were many, many, many meters below, almost 15 meters below where we're standing now. And this monumental stone, if you look at it, is not a complete stone. And if it could speak, it would tell you the story of Roman destruction, Byzantine presence, Mamluk conquest in the Middle Ages. And here's what I mean. When the Roman legion came here in the year 70, the 10th Roman legion, called Fretenses, came here to destroy the temple. They toppled the upper third of the Western Wall completely. They just toppled it over because there was no cement involved, and they pushed the stones over. When they got to this stone and other stones, there were other monumental stones, not as big as this, but pretty big. They couldn't topple it. So they tried something else. They tried to chisel it away. Now, when you look here, at the top of the stone here by the scaffolding, you could see that it's very high. It is missing its margin, but it's pretty close to 3 meters over there. When you follow that, you can see that the stone gets shorter. It's chiseled away. It gets chiseled away here, and there are smaller stones on top of it. And as you walk this way, it gets chiseled away even more, because the 10th Roman legion got so tired of chiseling away the stone, they just left it. And then the Byzantines who came after them said, we know the answer to the water problem in Jerusalem. We're going to build water cisterns. And guess what? We'll use the Western Wall as a wall for our water cistern. They forgot one thing, that the Western Wall is made of limestone, which is very porous. Water seeps in and out of it the entire time. So they made several attempts at building a wall on top of the wall. which would serve as the wall of their cistern. And it was unsuccessful until they figured out how to make the cement and rocks adhere to the western wall. And this is what they did. They chiseled out rectangles in strategic configurations of 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and they inserted stone dibbles into these rectangles, and they stood upon the rest of the wall and poured down cement. Now remember, we're high up on the wall, very high up on the wall. They poured down cement and rocks, and they hoped that the sun would dry up all the cement. And it did, because look what happened here. This wall formed, and you can see how it's attached to the dibble over here. And you see the rest of the wall over there, going over there, and it extended far down over there wherever you see these rectangles. And if you look here, you can see that there's plaster. Once they put the wall up, they were successful in building this wall. They then plastered the wall to make sure that water would stay in the cistern. And we're going to see many cisterns as we go along. Now, I told you that we're going to meet the Mamluks here, and here we meet them on top of the great stone. Do you see those stones over there? Those are stones that the Mamluks built here when they came in the Middle Ages because they wanted to build their neighborhood. And in order to build their neighborhood, they had to build arches. That's a fantastic arch that they built over there that's right above us. In order to lay this arch, they had to fill in the rest of the wall with small stones. And these are the stones that we see here, and you also see them outdoors. And then they built these incredible arches. Now, right now, we are underneath the Muslim neighborhood, the Muslim quarter. There's a Muslim street above us on top of these arches. And we're going to be walking along the western wall, so please keep in mind and look for those margins on the levels. As you see the levels, and see if I'm telling you the truth, are they 2 centimeters inward? Yeah.
How do they do this so straight? Just chisels?
Chiseling by hand. We're going to see a video a little bit later on that shows you how the artisans did this. 10,000 people were involved in building this wall.